Hey guys, it's Mike. Wanted to get on here today and give a little bit of an explanation of what is happening to the broader range of content that you're seeing on my YouTube channel. I feel like I owe that to you guys. A lot of you came here looking for real estate data, and I promise you will still see real estate data on this channel. But I think it's also important to cover a broader spectrum of things so you know what you're getting yourself into, whether you're looking to buy a home and relocate to the state or sell a home and go somewhere else. You should have a pretty good understanding of what's happening in your backyard. But before I get into that, I want to tell you guys a story as well. I want to tell you that you have been absolutely tremendous. It has been incredible between the likes, the comments, the shares, the subscribers. It's been insane. But what's more incredible is the people that have reached out to me with their stories that don't have a voice, okay? Things that are happening in their backyard that never received any level of coverage. And I promise you, I will cover all of those topics that you sent me. People sent me articles. People have been sending me videos. People have been sending me court transcripts, okay? And people have been reaching out to me, of course, to buy a home, to sell a home, whatever it may be. And it has just been a little bit overwhelming, but on the positive side. And the last thing that I want to say about that is this. I think that people are striving for information. They know things are happening, right? And then they put on the news and they don't see it on the news because a lot of times it is literally happening in your backyard and it gets absolutely no media coverage. Then you have our mayor saying that Boston is, statistically, and as you know, I am big on data, they are saying statistically we are the safest. It's been an X amount of time. But if you look through the comments of my previous videos, you could see that there are a lot of issues that perhaps never got brought up, right? And never saw the light of day. And that is why I think that we are creating a community of like-minded people. And you may not like what I'm going to say here, but I think a lot of people, a good portion of people, myself included, like living in Massachusetts. We just want to see it get better, right? We want to see it go in a positive direction. And ultimately, I'm not entirely sure of the direction that we're heading in. And I think there's a lot of skepticism on that as well from a lot of you guys based on your comments, right? But overall, I think that if people could afford to live here and if people could afford to raise their children here and provide a good quality of life for themselves and for their families, I think that's what they're looking for. And I think that's why there has been so many people that have been commenting and subscribing to this channel, because even though they are they're giving out their frustrations, I think that ultimately on the back end, I think that they would rather our state get to a point where it's heading in the right direction versus the wrong direction. And I think there's been a lot of that as well. So again, thank you guys. Now I'm going to get into a little bit of story and the history of the YouTube channel. I don't want to bore you guys, but I want to explain what the catalyst was in creating more broader range content as well. So first of all, the YouTube channel started right around COVID, okay? And we couldn't meet with clients. It was really hard for me to help people. And one thing that I absolutely hate in this industry is that there's a lot of agents out there that are also making emotional-based decisions for their clients. And they're not necessarily providing their clients with enough analysis and data-based information so they can make an educated decision whether they're buying or selling a home. A good example of that is look at how many people are struggling to buy a house, even though they could afford it. They can't get their offers accepted, or they can't sell their home. And they're sitting there wondering, why the hell isn't my home selling in the hottest time of the market? Why is it not selling? So I started recording videos on the back end of YouTube. They were unlisted. And then what I would do is I would share my screen, go through the data, very much like what you see on my YouTube channel now, and I would send it out to my clients so that to help them get from point A to point B, but more importantly, help them get there and make an educated decision on the way, right? Instead of an emotional-based decision. So That's how it started. Then one of my clients said to me, you should really think about making your channel public so that people could start to see your content. So I didn't necessarily make the one-on-one videos that I did with my clients public. I just started to record similar content and provide that information to you guys. And I have helped so many people, and I've met friends and, just all different types of people from all over the place. Either relocate here, buy or sell within the state, sell here, buy somewhere, whatever it may be, right? And it was incredible. Here's what happened, okay? So I started looking at more national news, and I started looking at more local news. And one of the biggest catalysts for this was the election, okay? Was a presidential election, because I started to see things that were being reported on mainstream media. And I think that the biggest thing was the election results, right? Now, I'm not saying I'm one side or the other, but I will tell you, I did not like the way the country was headed, all right? I have 2 little kids, I have my wife, and I've been doing this for a long time, right? And it's been so hard for people to buy a home, to afford groceries, just to afford to live their life. Okay. And I literally feel like we were, as I've said before, living in another dimension the last 4 years. It has just been bizarre. It's been really bizarre. And that was like the start of it. Okay. That was the start of it. But then what ended up happening was I kept on looking into why there was an increase or a potential increase in the tax revenue that the city of Boston collects from its residents, right? It was proposed to be 28%. Now they're trying to flip it onto commercial properties, which will trickle down into the residents, whether you're, renting a commercial space and you have a restaurant, or you're even just a tenant, right? You're a renter. All that money starts to trickle down to the people that are paying to be in these properties. So after I looked at that, then I started to look at the budget. I'm like, why are we short money here or there? And I started to see where money was going. And that's where everything started to come together. And then I just kind of went down that rabbit hole. Now, I will tell you, when I was younger, I was never really interested in those things, right? I'm 39 years old now. And I think once you have, I don't know, you may be younger watching this video. I think once you have a career and if you have a family, you have children, a lot of these things start to affect you, right? Because the biggest tell is your wallet, right? And if your wallet becomes affected by these things, and maybe you can't afford as much groceries as you were bringing home, let's say in the prior years, you start to get interested in what is actually happening. And then on top of that, you see what's being reported on mainstream media or even local news, and you feel like they're not necessarily like lying to your face, but like there's like mistruths to some capacity. And I had this weird feeling in my stomach, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't like covering stuff like this. I don't want to divide people. I want to bring people together. And if that means bringing people together that are on the same wavelength as I am and are concerned about these issues, but also want to see things get better, then that's what I'll do. And if there's some people that are, maybe don't align with my ideologies and what I think, then so be it. Okay. I will tell you, for 10 years, right out of high school, I was an electrician, blue-collar job, working with my dad, commercial, industrial, residential. I've done so much work in homes. And I transitioned into real estate, and I've been selling real estate for 9 years. So collectively, I have like 19 years in regards to real estate. And I don't know if you know this, but real estate controls a lot of ancillary markets, right? Whether it be the labor industry, materials, whatever it may be, right? And I have a lot of experience because I went from a blue-collar job to a somewhat more so white-collar job. On top of that, I have an organization of over 130 agents that we created over the last 3 years, and it's throughout 5 states. So one thing that I want to tell you guys is that the problems that Massachusetts and the city of Boston faces is not isolated just to this state. And that's why I want to tell you, I want things to get better. I want to work together with you guys to make things better. But these issues are not isolated to this state. All right. They're not isolated to the state. These problems happen literally everywhere. And I could go on and tell you more stories with, closed bids on jobs. And then it went to somebody that was like code enforcement for a town. Like, I could tell you stories like that. There's stuff that happens behind the scenes literally everywhere, and it sucks. And I think people are fed up with being above the law, right? Because for us, if we do something wrong, we're in trouble. If somebody is tied in with somebody else, they're effectively to some capacity above the law. And, they get out there, they do what they want to do, so on and so forth, while we struggle, right? So the other thing was that after I started creating a couple more videos, right, I noticed that our mayor, Michelle Wu, keeps on touting information like we have the lowest crime in Boston and XYZ, right? And I mean, I don't know if I necessarily entirely believe all of the data that she's providing, because based on some of the comments on a lot of my videos, and I'm not saying those comments are law, right? But there is so much happening behind the scenes that I feel like is not getting any kind of coverage, right? It's just not seeing the light of day. And I think a lot of people have an issue with that, right? I think that people have issues with things that are happening in their backyard that are not making it to the news, or that, people want to be more informed. And the fact is, it's hard to be informed when you're being shielded from this information. So I don't know where we are headed in terms of a state. I don't know where we're headed in terms of the city of Boston and its surrounding cities, but I will tell you, I'm going to be here to cover that information. I think that between what's happening in terms of local real estate, if you guys want videos on any market, you let me know. You could always email me. I will make those videos still. But I think also tying in more local information and things that are happening in our markets and how it's going to affect you and ultimately your wallets is also important, right? I think that somebody that's relocating from another state that's coming here should potentially know that information so they know what they're getting themselves into. On top of that, there are other YouTubers here in Boston that are covering, whether it be different markets or market reports, so on and so forth. But there wasn't many people that are covering this information that I'm going over with you guys in terms of local politics and news and what's happening with our taxes and budgets and crime and all of these things. And I feel like it's just as important as what is happening in the local real estate market. And I want to be that person that could help you understand some of this information. Now, I don't know everything, okay? I don't know everything, and I'm pretty unbiased, right? Usually decisions that I make are backed by some levels of data, right? I want to be able to do that research and provide you with that necessary information. So that's pretty much it. That is what's happening to this channel. You're going to see more real estate information. You're going to see more local, political stuff and news. You're also going to see some national news, because I think in terms of, it's like the same thing, like the trickle-down effect, where if national news isn't necessarily covering the whole story, that also trickles down to what local news stations are covering as well. And I want to help you guys understand what is happening in this country. And as I said earlier, I think one of the biggest catalysts was what was being reported on the previous election to what happened. Right. And as you've seen, MSNBC may be up for sale. Comcast is dropping them. Local and maybe not local. I don't know. I don't have enough data on local, but mainstream media is really struggling. There is a severe lack of viewership because people don't trust these stations. Right. Especially after what happened during the election. And I don't care if you're on this side, that side, the middle. Doesn't matter to me. Okay, really, it does not matter to me. I said this before. I think there's good people on both sides. And if you can't see that, that is your problem. But I think there's good people on both sides. However, there's a lot of bad people as well. But I think if we work together and we build this out, right? We build this community out, we could provide more information to more people and help them make educated decisions, right? Or at least keep them informed. So that's why the channel's content is getting more broader range. I hope you stick around. I promise I still am going to do a lot of real estate analysis. And if you want something specifically, literally just message me. I'll give you an entire coverage of a certain city, town, micro neighborhood, whatever it may be. And that's it, guys. I appreciate you being here sincerely. I think it's incredible what you've done in terms of the support. And I think we're going to head into 2025 even stronger. Okay, that's what I think is going to happen. And I think we're going to build something special here. And you're going to be a part of that. All right, guys. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.